All right, good afternoon, everybody. It is Michelle Poe here in Sioux Falls, South Dakota, and I can't even tell you how excited I am to introduce you to my girlfriend, one of my very best friends in the world, Miss Desiree Mamot, out in Casper, Wyoming. Des is, I don't even know where to begin because I have so many things to say about her, but anybody and everybody that meets this girl, the moment that they meet her, as you'll be able to just even tell through this Zoom, they fall in love with her. And the reason that they fall in love with her is because her heart is so pure and so beautiful. She gives and gives and gives. She asks a lot of questions and finds out how she can bless those individual people. And I'm always inspired and absolutely amazed by her spirit, by her heart, by her knowledge, by her silliness, her passion for life and love and God. It's really beautiful. So I've known Des since junior high and high school, and her husband as well. We've all been friends, her husband and my husband. And the two of us, we've all known each other for a very long time, and they are strong, incredible people. They've had some definite struggles and hard times, but again, through those hard times, they've persevered, and they have touched thousands upon thousands of people's lives through their perseverance, through their spirit, through their passion and love for their family and just for life, and never giving up and knowing that they can survive. Des is a Lyme's disease survivor, and you talk about anything with Lyme, she knows anything and everything pretty much about that, but that's a very, very tough disease because it's one that if you talk to any doctor, they don't like to talk about it because it's very difficult. and her son is a survivor of AML leukemia. And, Des had to leave her children and her husband and go and take her son to Denver Children's Hospital and leave them behind. And Mike was a stay-at-home dad. Well, not stay-at-home dad. He was still working. Single dad, while Des was living in Denver by her son's bedside and with him every single day, fighting for him and his life, and doing the best that she could to maintain being the mother and the wife that she is, and maintaining that balance. And all through this, she also had this blessing called LifeVantage that she'll talk a little bit about. But, you never know, for those of you that are guests, you never know why you're invited to this business, why you're invited to these products. So with that being said, please thank the person that invited you to watch this and to listen to the information. This information is real. The information, I feel very strongly that the people that are learning about this, especially now, there's a big purpose. So get out your pen and paper, take some notes, listen to your gut, your intuition, and enjoy listening to this beautiful girl talk about what we have our hands on here. And so thank you so much, Des, for being here, for taking the time. If you all only knew what her schedule is like today and every day, she's, again, always taking care of everybody else. And she took a few minutes here to bless all of our lives. So I'm just going to let you take it over, my girl. Thank you so much for your time and energy and love.
Absolutely. Well, thank you. As you can see, Michelle can introduce people and make you feel and cry and be already emotional. So, I just like she said, I'm so blessed to first off know about this company, know the Poes. I couldn't feel more excited about it than, I've always been excited about LifeVantage and these amazing products, but it just keeps getting better and better. And we truly are blessed. And so, like she said, thank the person that invited you to this, because they truly care enough about you to share this information and bug you enough to get you on here. I tell people I'll bug them enough. Once they listen, then I'll totally get off their back, but they at least need to listen once. So, because it's truly a huge gift. So, like Michelle said, a little bit on my background now real quick, just so we can get through stuff. There's so much great information that in 30 minutes it goes by so fast. So I was introduced to this. It will be actually 5 years next fall, is when Shawn and Michelle Poe came to me. And, you know, kind of said, I know you and your husband are into, my husband's actually in the cardiology field. We are really into health and wellness, prevention. I grew up with a mom who was very aware of eating clean and exercising. And that's always been a huge passion of mine. And functional medicine, I guess, is also a passion of mine. My background's in science, but then I went on actually to be a cosmetologist. So my background's a little random, but I've always loved science and medicine and health. So they actually came to me, and hopefully all of you have seen the primetime ABC investigative report. If you haven't, get back with the person that invited you and they will get that clip. So all this that I'm saying makes a little more sense. But they showed us that, like I said, about 5 years ago. And I think like a lot of people, when you first see it, you think, is this too good to be true? Why haven't I heard about this? You know, I think I was not skeptical because I trust them, but I also was a little bit like, how can this be any different than anything else out there that we've already heard about? So those were some of the things, but I was really intrigued by that ABC report. That was something that I thought was pretty incredible. I'm going to quick do screen share here, guys. So bear with me for a second. You might see my screen. So when that ABC, you know, that aired, that was back in 2005, actually, that aired. Can you see my screen okay here, Michelle? And
yes,
hear me?
Right.
Okay, perfect. I just want to make sure I'm not going along here and no one can see or hear anything. So, so that actually, you know, when I saw that, I thought, well, that's pretty crazy. You know, that aired back in 2005. And this piece, for those of you who have seen this, you know, it speaks volumes because one, I had never heard of a supplement ever being talked about on the news, let alone an ABC primetime investigative report. And especially to my husband, that was a really big deal. He has been in the pharmaceutical world. He's been in the medical device sales world. So he knows a lot about the medical industry and how TV is pretty much pharmaceutical drugs. You don't hear anything about supplements. There's no money in natural medicine. So you just don't really hear about it. And it's not something that is advertised. So that was a really big deal. When this actually aired in 2005, originally ABC Primetime came to Dr. Joe McCord, the scientist that you saw in the ABC report, and his team. And it was just a few scientists and him. And they said, we want to do this report. We don't believe what you're claiming is true. We don't believe that there's anyone in the world that can reduce oxidative stress by 40% in just 30 days. And I'll explain a little more of what oxidative stress is and why that is such a huge claim. So they came in and actually said, sure, bring it on. So they did the blood test as you saw in there. And they actually only after 2 weeks saw that the results of John Quinones's oxidative stress had come down by over 40% in just 2 weeks. So not only did it work, but they only did half the time, and it proved just the same like it does in every other person and every mammal. So they ended up airing this piece. This piece was supposed to be more of an exposing a scam. This was not supposed to turn out the way it did. But since it did, they thought, we'll air it anyway. Well, at the time, you know, most people would think, wow, that's a huge, huge deal. Of course, you want an ABC to come in and do an investigative report on you. But the negative thing was when that aired, people went crazy afterwards. People, universities, all these different were calling in and saying, we want Protandim, our flagship product that you saw in that piece that they were talking about. And they actually had around $5 million of orders that came in just a 3-week period. So it was a ton of product. At the time, it was $50 plus shipping and handling. Now it's $40. It's even cheaper now. But at the time, if you can imagine, that's a ton of product that had to go out in a really short time. Well, they weren't asking for this ABC piece. So they not only didn't have that much product, but they didn't have a business. There was no infrastructure. There's no customer service. So they not only couldn't get the product out, but it just kind of went away because people thought, well, this is a scam. We didn't get our product. So unless you saw that ABC report or someone shared it with you, you probably would have never have heard of Protandim or LifeVantage. So, you know, at that time, that was a negative thing. It was a small publicly traded company. Now we are actually traded. We are on the NASDAQ, which is huge because anything I'm saying, tonight, you can see we're very transparent. Anything that I'm saying, you can look up. And so that's that was a big deal to me, that I thought that's huge to have a supplement company that was actually a company before it was publicly traded on the NASDAQ. So that's a really big deal as well. But so the negative thing was when that did air, the stock prices went crazy overnight because of that ABC report. They thought this is going to be huge. This is going to launch this business like crazy. Well, since they couldn't get the product out, pretty much it went up overnight, the stock price, and then it just plummeted. So it was one of those things that it just kind of went away. But the really incredible thing at that time was all of these different universities and hospitals, I'll share a couple of them in a minute, they called in and said, we want to study Protandim. And here's some of them you can see at the bottom there. Places like Louisiana State University, we want to study Protandim and in regards to melanoma skin cancer. Ohio State University, in regards to the heart. Mayo Clinic. So these are some huge people that you can see here in universities and hospitals that said, we understand oxidative stress. We are willing to pay our own dime, put our own dime behind this and study this in regards to various diseases. So this kind of rewinding a little bit, as you see down there at the bottom where it says circulation, the Journal of the American Heart Association, that was something that really got my husband, Mike, who was I'd say he's more of a skeptic than I am. He's more of the realist. I'm more of the, like Michelle, the rainbows and everybody, I believe, I try to believe people I respect. He is one that's going to go research it and make sure. So he actually, when they actually put him on a phone with a cardiologist in our company and was explaining how big of a deal this is, that the American Heart Association actually talked about Protandim, not the individual ingredients, but the product as a whole in their circulation journal. And my husband, being in the cardiology field, I had no idea what Circulation magazine was. I didn't know that was such a big deal. But like he said, that's huge that they actually talk about Protandim in their premier journal. So I love, kind of Shawn posts this all the time, and Dr. Gordon, that if the American Heart Association talks about it in their journal, it's probably not snake oil. That's a really big deal. And to our knowledge, we're one of the only supplements ever that they've talked about. They may have talked about individual ingredients of other supplements, but not a supplement as a whole. So that was a really, really huge deal for my husband. He's like, do you understand how big that is to actually have peer-reviewed medical studies and the American Heart Association talking about us? So you can see, actually my screen is incorrect. I need to actually update this a little bit. So it says right there that we're backed by 20 published scientific studies. We actually have, I believe, 22 or 23 now. And if you go to a website called pubmed.gov, you can look up the word Protandim and you can see all of our studies that have been done by these various universities. The other neat thing is, so we do not claim that Protandim treats, cures, prevents, mitigates any disease. But people come to us all the time and say, hey, Des, can this help with diabetes? So for me, with Lyme disease, could this help with Lyme disease? Could this help with heart disease, depression, autism, all of cancer, all of these things? And we say, go to pubmed.gov and look up oxidative stress, which I'll explain in a minute what Protandim is reducing, and whatever disease you're curious about. And then you can see for yourself and kind of put together, why would reducing this in the body potentially benefit? So that's huge. If you just look up oxidative stress alone, there's hundreds of thousands of studies. So that is a really big deal. Once again, there are not other supplements that have all of this scientific studies on them. And real quick on that, and I kind of hit hard a ton on the science because I am passionate about that. I've learned a ton from my husband about this too, that when you have a scientific peer-reviewed study, that's a really, really big deal. That's not just our company saying, hey, this is what we've seen. This is a third party going in, studying our product, proving something, getting it reviewed by another party, and then getting published. There is a very small percentage of scientific studies that actually get published and put on PubMed.gov, which is the Library Institute of Health. So that's a big deal. And real quick in the bottom right there, where it says the NIA lifespan study. This is one of our most recent studies. What they found is that actually by taking Protandim, and they actually went head to head on other herbs, the individual ingredients in Protandim, pharmaceutical drugs, and found that Protandim actually increased lifespan by 7%. So to me, I tell people it's kind of a no-brainer. Like, why would you not take something that you know is potentially increasing? And we're not talking just years in your life, but life in your years. So it's quality of life, not just quantity. So I tell people, if you have no interest in living longer and living healthier, then don't take it. Like, it's literally a no-brainer to me. So that's kind of being sarcastic. But anyways, I just think that is such an incredible study. Like, there's nothing else out there that has proven that we know of, other than a pharmaceutical drug. And who wants to take a pharmaceutical drug that you need because of a specific disease, and the side effects that come with pharmaceutical drugs and the cost are enormous. So that's real quick on some of the studies. Real quick, so I don't spend too much time on the beginning here. Dr. Joe McCord is not just your average scientist. And this was another thing that I thought was really intriguing about him. There are so many people inventing things and so many different supplements. And what's interesting and way big about Joe McCord is that he received something they call the Elliott Crescent Medal. And this is for your distinguished inventors. This is not just your average people. He is the only living recipient right now of this medal. And the other people who have received this are people that you can see at the bottom there, like Henry Ford, Alexander Graham Bell, Orville Wright. I mean, these are huge inventors. These are not just average people. So, and he received it actually for finding what they call SOD. It's an enzyme in the body that is huge and something that also Protandim activates. So real quick, what is oxidative stress and why is that such a big deal? Why is reducing it by an average of 40% in 30 days and up to 70 after 120 such a big deal? Well, oxidative stress is linked to over 200 diseases. So that's why I said when people come to us with various things, if you're reducing oxidative stress, the body is a miracle. God made it so smart. So if you can reduce things like oxidative stress, which essentially what it is when we have too many free radicals in the body, it leads to oxidative stress, which leads to inflammation, which is the root cause of every disease. If you go to any doctor and you ask them what is the root of disease, the majority of them are going to say inflammation. And if they don't, I say probably get another doctor, because that is a statement that absolutely is true, that if you can reduce inflammation in the body, then potentially you could help with whatever it is that a person is dealing with. And one of the things that we do like to stress a little bit, because I was one that even though I worked out and ate clean, I kind of thought that you were exempt from high oxidative stress levels, but that's not the case at all. This is showing where we get oxidative stress. I love to exercise. I'm not an excessive exerciser, but there are your extreme athletes who actually are giving their body more oxidative stress because you're putting out more exhaust, and that's causing more oxidative stress and inflammation in the body. So this is why it's huge. We have professional athletes that take our product. So that's why we have the BSCG label, which is a banned substance, which is another big deal because there is only a handful of supplements in the world that actually professional athletes are able to take legally. And we are one of them. That's a big, big deal in my opinion. Other ways of getting oxidative stress, you can see here, alcohol, just stress in general, injury, trauma, radiation. That was my husband's biggest thing that caught his attention. He wears, every day he has lead on because he is constantly under radiation in the cath lab. And he has been since he was around 22. So that's a huge deal. If someone is exposed to that day after day, there's a reason why cardiologists and a lot of our doctors have higher rates of cancers and all different kinds of coughs, different things, because that's from the radiation. So that was a big deal to us to take it forever. This is kind of a busy slide, I tell people, but what you can see here is how oxidative stress affects people in different ways. This is just showing what it does to certain parts of the body. For the eyes, you can see macular degeneration. This is why our company is attracting people from just incredible doctors and very brilliant people, because they're seeing things like macular degeneration is directly linked to oxidative stress. So why would I not share this with my, as a doctor, that is their obligation to share something that they know with their patients that potentially could help them. You look at the heart, cardiac, stroke, joints. People talk about all the time spectrum disorders, asthma, cancer, migraines. We just hear it all the time. The body is really miraculous. Like I said, God made it really smart. If you can just reduce these levels in the body, it's amazing what potentially it can do on its own. We like to explain that Protandim is not just like taking a vitamin. It's not just an antioxidant. And this is the big deal about Protandim. This is where our company is actually pioneering this technology. This pathway in the body is something that is really a big deal. And for me, I'm always really honest with my story. I did not join this for the business part at all. I kind of laugh at how naive I was, to be honest, about how big of a deal it was. I was just simply I decided, well, I'm just going to share this for the health with my friends and family, and that's it. I did not really encompass, like in my brain, how big of a deal it was. And this is why it's so huge. Protandim is what we call an NRF2 activator. And the way that we explain that is if you take all of your genes and it's a bunch of light switches, and what Protandim is, it is not a magic pill. Once again, your body is the magic. This pathway is in every cell of our body. When someone takes Protandim, it goes in and it starts turning off and turning down switches. So almost like a dimmer switch. So it's going to act very different in my body than someone else's body. So if it goes in mine, like with Lyme disease, I had no idea I had Lyme disease until actually just about a year ago. I didn't know why I'd suffered from some crazy symptoms my whole life. Luckily, I had ate clean and exercised and tried to really take care of myself, that I kept some of my symptoms at bay. However, I'm not claiming anything with Protandim. When I started taking Protandim, I started to have symptoms that were going away, and I didn't know why. And at the time, like I said, I was not aware that I had Lyme disease and all of these chronic infections that I had had since I was a child. But what it did in my body is it goes in and it starts turning on these survival genes or these antioxidant genes, and it starts turning down inflammatory genes, fibrotic genes. So anytime you're getting your body to make its own antioxidants versus taking them, that's a huge deal. Your body is way smarter. And so by just eating good, we're telling people absolutely eat good and eat clean. But this is doing way bigger than what eating food alone can do. So this is your own God-given pathway that we're just activating. So that's why, I believe that Protandim did so many amazing things for me because, like I said, it was just getting my body back in balance. One of the things that I do tell people, I will take this for the rest of my life if it only upregulated one antioxidant. And you can see that on your screen. It's called glutathione. And I kind of probably beat a dead horse on this one a little bit, because I had no idea how big glutathione was until my son was diagnosed. It was 2 years ago in February. He was 7 with AML leukemia. And I had studied enough about Protandim and NRF2 for the year and a half previous that I knew glutathione was an antioxidant that was the #1 master antioxidant in your body. It is huge in detoxification of all the junk in our food, the environment, heavy metals. But it's also really big in the brain, working out. This is big for athletes. This glutathione is huge, and you have to get your body to make it. You cannot just take it. You have to get your body to make it. It's too large of a molecule. So in all of my studies on cancer, when my son was diagnosed, they kept saying, you have to increase glutathione. You have to decrease inflammation. And that was such a big deal to me. I thought, oh my goodness, I have to get my child on this immediately if it only did this one thing. Cancers, autoimmune diseases, diabetics, even when you look at the brain diseases, all of these different things, they are always low in glutathione generally and high in inflammation. So I knew if I could get those two things back in balance, that I could really help my kiddo out, just to detoxify the chemo and all the crap that they were putting in his body. That's the nicest way of putting it, I guess you would say. So And I'll explain a little bit more on the ingredients real quick and why that was such a big deal with my son. So real quickly, this is showing that what Protandim is doing. I'm going to kind of go quick through that and skip to the next slide for time. But where it says we have 11 patents, we actually have international and US patents. I'm going to explain that in 1 second. So I apologize that I jumped around there for a minute. This paper right here speaks volumes to me. Once again, I said I did not join this for the business part, but then I realized how big we are pioneering a huge, huge deal here. So this is actually dated February 25th of 2015. My son was diagnosed 15 days prior to this. When I was in the hospital, I kept thinking, how am I going to get this approved? There's no way they will allow an herbal supplement in the bone marrow transplant unit. He was so sick. They don't risk anything there. And we were actually kept in the hospital for 6 months. We were not allowed to leave. So I knew that this was something I was not going to sneak in his room every day to give him, because it just wasn't going to happen. So they actually originally said, no, Des, you're not allowed to have any herbal supplements during treatment, especially not with children. It's just never been studied. So this was one of the things that came out. And I thought, this is literally God giving me something, ammunition to give to these doctors and say, this is not just a supplement. This is a huge deal. So this is what I showed them, was one of the things I showed them. This is Washington State University. This is not our company. They are just talking about NRF2, or that pathway that we activate. And what it says is, we may be on the verge of a new literature on health effects of NRF2, which may well become the most extraordinary therapeutic and most extraordinary preventative breakthrough in the history of medicine. And I tell somebody, if that doesn't get you even kind of excited, then your pulse is different than mine. Because when I saw that, I thought, this is something I need in Chase's body immediately. And that was one of the reasons that the head oncologist, his doctor, took a look at this, because she said, it does sound like it's bigger than just an average supplement. You sound like you might know what you're talking about, but we still may not approve it. Well, the reason she ended up approving it, and this is the big deal, we get this all the time, is there any known drug interactions? So there are only 5 simple ingredients. They are all amazing ingredients right here. We've heard of a lot of these, some you may not have. They individually are amazing. But in that perfect little recipe that Dr. McCord unlocked after so many years is why we have patents. That's why we have US and international patents. Because you can't patent green tea or turmeric, but what you can patent is a specific little recipe. So what I told his doctors is, this is not a medicinal dose of any of these. This is what they say, roughly a 1/5 to a 1/10 of a medicinal dose. So that's why it's literally like eating food. It's just getting your body, it's using plants. So it's like nutrigenomics, which is what our company is all about, using food or plants to actually activate the genes in the body. Medicine is going this direction because people are looking at more preventative. I always say in the United States, we're really good at acute care, but we're not really good at getting to the root cause of anything. It's just a Band-Aid or another pharmaceutical drug. So what this is doing is just activating already what's in there. So they did end up approving him to take it. So this is just showing some more patents. I'm going to cruise through this. So another question everyone gets is, why are there not pharmaceutical companies trying to mimic this? Well, from a business standpoint, this is really huge, because they are. These are some of the companies that are actually trying to make pharmaceutical forms of NRF2 activators. The only one that has an FDA approved drug is the one in the middle where it says Biogenetic. And this is a drug for MS. It is the top MS drug that is out there. It was a blockbuster drug, which means it did $1 billion in the first year. So this is from their own journal. Before they actually FDA approved it, they went head to head against Protandim. And they said, interestingly, Protandim, a dietary supplement consisting of herbal ingredients, was the most potent inducer and therefore may be the most suited as a therapeutic strategy. That is a huge, huge deal to me, because actually they found is that Protandim was 2 times more effective at activating this pathway than their own MS drug. So I tell people, if you know someone with MS, you absolutely have to share this with them. That is a huge, huge deal. And yes, it seems too good to be true. But when you look at something like this, and you look at these companies who are trying to make this exact same thing, but in a pharmaceutical form, that's a really big deal. And with pharmaceuticals, this drug costs over $50,000 a year between insurance and the consumer. So I tell people, you can either pay, obviously if you don't have MS, you wouldn't be taking this drug anyway. But for someone with MS to have an option of looking at an all natural supplement that's $40 a month plus shipping and handling versus a pharmaceutical drug that has a huge amount of cost and side effects, it's a no-brainer to me that you have to share this with people you care about. So that is our flagship product. Until I get super excited about it because it's a huge deal. I'm going to go really fast through our last products, not because they're not as important, but because I just want to give you guys a background on each one a little bit, and then get back with the person who invited you, and we can give you more information. So just about a year ago, well, a little over a year ago, they came out with something called NRF1. And this is activating the NRF1 pathway. It is also called Protandim because we are branding actually. Protandim is kind of, like I said, it is a brand. It's activating the body. So just like NRF2, Protandim NRF1 is turning on a pathway in the body. It's turning on, activating the mitochondria in the body. And so the mitochondria, I said, everyone knows from science, it's a powerhouse of the cell. So if you can activate the mitochondria, which are the cell of the body, and actually make them work better, that's a huge, huge deal. I learned a ton about mitochondrial dysfunction from so many people in our company. One of my mentors, Sveta, who I absolutely love, who is a tumor pathologist, I've learned so much from her about not only the NRF2 pathway, but the NRF1 and the mitochondria and how cancers they're finding. Lyme disease is a big one. I hear all the time when I listen on Lyme disease, that is a mitochondrial dysfunction disorder. It is not just an immune system. So same with cancer. So this is another product I have chosen for my family to take, not only for my son with his cancer, but me with Lyme and prevention with my other kids. Autism, directly linking to mitochondrial dysfunction. So this is a huge deal. NRF1, it is something that should be taken with NRF2, and we can explain why. So together, they actually price them at $85 for a bundle that you can get, and we can give you more information on that. But it's just as huge. It's new in, I guess, research, but like we said, in a few years, it's going to be just as big, the research, as NRF2 was. So because they had melanoma skin tumor studies by Louisiana State, they said we have to make a skincare regimen because we have to protect the largest organ of the body from oxidative stress. This is the whole, it's a 4-part, regimen, but you can buy them separately. It's $140 for the whole regimen, but you can buy them individually. It lasts, I use it twice a day, every day, anywhere from 2 to 3 months. I use it. Everyone in my family uses it. I love what is not in it. I'm crazy about what's in food and what's in products. We've seen some incredible results. I tell people, if you want to understand what NRF2 is doing inside your body, put it on your skin. So this is showing 30 days after using the regimen. You can just see the eye area. This gentleman did half his face for 60 days. And you can see, as you're looking at the computer, the left side of his face is where he did the true science. And so that's a really big deal. Not only is it from a standpoint of beauty, obviously people want to look younger, feel younger, but this is actually protecting your skin from further damage. So I use this on my children, everyone. So huge deal. If you want more information, like I said, get back to the person who invited you. Next one is, this also needs to be updated. I'm the worst. It's actually not called Canine Health anymore. It's called Pet Tandem. They wanted to make sure that people knew this is from the makers of Protandim. People were giving their pets Protandim and sending in, videos and stuff to our company and saying, this is crazy what my dog is doing. And I love Protandim and Pet Tandem because I tell people you cannot placebo a child, let's say with autism or ADHD, or a dog to do something they couldn't do before. Because we get this all the time. Is it a placebo effect? Well, that's great if it is because it works really well apparently. But If you can give something to a dog or a child and all of a sudden they're doing things, that's a big deal. So our company actually made a product called Pet Tandem that is specifically for dogs. They wanted to make sure that it has the needs for a dog and it's not a human product that we're saying give to a dog. This is incredible. If you have a pet, your pet definitely needs it for even prevention. So next product that we have actually is called Axio, and this is, we call it like an executive brain food. This is not a energy drink. I hate energy drinks. I was a little negative about this originally because I thought, what are we doing? We are, this huge scientifically based company. Why are we bringing an energy drink? But this is not an energy drink. This has ingredients in it that you can see here that are huge for the brain. It promotes focus, alertness, mood, energy. It just makes you overall feel good. But this is something that I tell people, if you have kiddos at all on the spectrum, or you have a hard time with focusing, anything, depression, whatever, this is huge for the brain. This is not only makes you feel better, but even prevention. So this is just brain food. And we have 3 that have green tea as a caffeine, and then 2 without caffeine. And they are $50 for shipping and handling for 30 of them. I couldn't live a day without them. They actually saved my life in the hospital. And every doctor and nurse that came to my room wanted Axio all the time because you just feel good. And you just add it to water and it's all natural. Last but not least, we have physique weight management. We are not a quick fix weight loss company. What we are is about getting to the root cause of disease, looking, feeling, and performing better. So what this is, it is a 4-part system that can be bought together or separate. I'm just going to quickly focus on 2 things. 1, the probiotic. I think everyone in the world should be taking a probiotic. And that's why our company has actually done something they call an essentials pack. People come to us all the time. If I were to pick something, what would I take? Because they're all incredible products. They have combined NRF1, NRF2, and the probiotic for a discounted price plus free shipping. So it's a pretty huge savings of over, I think, $15 or $20. And the reason probiotic is so important is that they're finding that gut health is actually about 70 to 80% of our immune system is built in our gut. Same thing when I go back to my son, I did a ton of research with cancer, same thing with Lyme disease, all of these chronic illnesses. They are not just an immune system issue. They are something in the gut is causing these problems. You look at the food we eat, all kinds of things, antibiotics, all of these things destroy the gut. So if the gut is not working well, 1, the rest of your immune system, but 2, it is really hard to lose weight if your gut is not healthy. So our probiotic is like no other, just like every other product we make, one of a kind. 2 things they've done. 1, they made a specific technology to get it to where it needs to be. So most, and I learned this a ton, most probiotics, only 5% roughly are getting to the lower intestine and colon where it needs to be. Ours, 60% is proven to get to where it needs to be. That is why you cannot cut or crush our probiotic. Protandim, yes, but not our probiotic, because that specific biotract gets all the way and then releases those over time. Other thing they put in this is something called Wellmune. This is a big deal also in the immune system. It helps your immune system work better. This is not stimulating the immune system. This is just bringing it back into balance. So if it's overactive, like an autoimmune, it's going to help bring that down. Or my son or myself with Lyme or cancer, it's going to help bring that up. So it's a huge, huge deal. The other parts of our weight management, this is just targeting the abdominal and visceral fat, the unhealthy fat that is disease linked. All natural. I love that we have a fat burn that is all natural. You're not adding a bunch of stimulants and caffeine and all of these things that are unhealthy for you. So more information on this, like I said, get back to the person who invited you. There's a protein shake and a cleanse. And once again, I love that it's all natural, no artificial sweeteners, colors, anything. As you can see, that's a big deal to me. So once again, kind of back to my story. So, and I always get emotional about it, but I shouldn't. But anyway, when Michelle and Shawn came to me with this, once again, I said, I'm only going to share this like with people I love for the health part of it. I have no desire to make this a business. I probably didn't tell them that, but I thought that in my mind. So, when Shawn showed me this, and he probably still thinks I'm horrible about the business, which I am, I didn't know how big this was. I didn't understand what you're seeing right here. This is called the Harvard S-curve. And what this is showing is that most companies on the left side, where you see early, they don't even make it to that. Most companies are bankrupt before they even get there, and let alone get to where we are at. We see that dot where it says kind of critical mass. We are roughly around there, maybe a little bit past that, towards a momentum stage. So they say that if people can get in before momentum, which is momentum would be when the rest of this world knows about Protandim and NRF2. And I assure you, they are going to know about Protandim and NRF2. If they don't already know about it, they will. Most doctors don't even know about NRF2. This is something that in just the last even 5 to 10 years, tons of research has come out about these, or about NRF2, or the mitochondria, all these different things that they're studying is really big right now. They're trying to use, like I said, nutrigenomics or using food to activate the body. So they say if you can get in before the rest of the world knows about this, then those people make 80% of the money that the company will ever make. Once we reach momentum, it'll be a lot like your Pampered Chef, Mary Kay, all of these companies that everyone knows about, even 31 bags. But I tell people, I don't need a bag every month. Do I love 31 bags? Yes. I have like 6 of them. Do I need to buy any more? Probably not. But we have a consumable product that everyone in the world needs. Dog, kids, men, women, every age alike needs our products. These are things that people need to integrate daily into their body to help them in prevention and also to help potentially with what they're currently dealing with. So we say, I literally became a distributor, like I said, because I thought, what if I can help someone in my family? And, if you're thinking that, if you're Rolodexing people in your mind, I, tell people, take a leap of faith because you will not regret it. This company, not only are the products huge, but the integrity of the people is even bigger. If I knew today, 5 years ago, where I would be, I thought that would be crazy to me. Like if someone said I was doing this full time, I would have quit my job. But for me, I just started sharing this, and I found that people just kept coming back to me and saying, thank you for sharing this. This has either helped me financially or this has helped me physically. So I tell people, there's a lot of people who just want to be customers, and we get that. 80% of our business is customers. You get the product sent to you, same price as the distributor pays. They directly ship it to you. There's no obligation, but I tell people you need to be on these products, especially if you're trying, if you're Protandim, it needs to be 4 to 6 months. You need to give the body time to heal and to work. This is not an overnight quick fix. This is helping, and some of this you don't feel inside. I tell people you can't feel prevention. I said, put your seatbelt on before the accident happens, not during the accident. So I did not understand kind of residual income and how big that was until, like I said, my son got diagnosed with cancer and the ball dropped. My life changed really quickly in a matter of one day. So for me, this next slide I'm showing you is a monthly average income that people make in our company. We are publicly traded, so we're very transparent. You can see from from distributor all the way to a rank of Master Pro 10. What's highlighted there is a monthly average income. I tell people can come into this and make part-time money. They can make mortgage payment money. They can make life-changing money. I did not know that I was going to leave my family for 6 months and sit at a hospital. And I had dug the well before I needed it. And God brought this into my life for that reason. I think one of the hugest reasons was not just the health and that my family, absolutely, and for my health and for Lyme disease that I had to be on it, but it was also the financial part. He has blessed me over and over again because I was getting checks every single week, every single month, even though I sat there for 6 months besides his bed. So that makes me emotional because I tell people, you don't know like what's going to happen next. You have no idea. What is going to happen. So have residual income. I love when Shawn Poe says, find a way to get residual income because it is life-changing. So if you have any interest at all in becoming a distributor, I say take a leap of faith. There's 3 different packages that you can get in on. The thing that's cool is that they have majority of it is product. So I thought, what if? So there's no risk. I'm going to take the products anyway. So why not? Or you can be that big entrepreneur and see that this company is going places and be one of the first in the world to pretty much start sharing it with people. I say if like the state or Wyoming, I live in Casper, Wyoming, it's like 50,000 people. I said, if just pretty much like 100 and some thousand total distributors in 10 countries. So I said, even the United States, like our little town alone is pretty much all who knows about it. So that's a huge deal. We are pretty much, no one else knows about this. So I get excited about that. So I've kind of gone from, like I said, just excited about product to also being super excited about this business. So I have went over on time, but please get back with the person who invited you and tell them thank you first off for sharing this, and that let them know what questions you have and go from there. So thank you guys. And I apologize that I went over.
No, it was wonderful and perfect and incredible. I got several messages while you were speaking and educating all of us. So thank you, thank you, thank you for taking the time. Again, Des, I know that everybody on here was absolutely blessed by the information. And for those of you that are wondering, yes, this was recorded, and absolutely I will get the recording out as soon as possible. This is definitely one that I know many people are going to want to share. So definitely everyone get back to the person, like she said, that invited you. As she said and you heard, this is real. Listen to people and what they need in their life, and just share your heart, and then magic can happen and the world can be a better place. As cheesy as it sounds, it can be. So, and it's brought by beautiful people as yourself. So have a wonderful afternoon, and thank you again.
Yeah.
Appreciate your time.
Thanks, Michelle. Love you. Bye, guys.
Thank you. Bye, everybody.